Okay, so just working first on the circle of the legs. Just moving from leg to leg. So when I come into my right foot, my left leg straightens. And so I turn the left leg into a curve. And that brings me across into it. And then this leg straightens and that pushes everything into this foot. And then this leg curves, pulls me across. And then this leg starts to work to completely empty it. Bend this leg, and then I straighten this leg. I bend this leg, and then I straighten this leg. So this leg straightens, and then this leg bends. Now this leg straightens, and then it bends. And now start to feel the natural turning. So as I straighten this leg, it will tend to turn me in this direction because it's sort of pushing this hip around. And then when I bend this leg, it will pull this hip back. And as I come into the leg, I will start turning this way, which this leg will continue by straightening. And then I bend this leg, it pulls me around this way. And then this straightening continues that turn. So when I move from leg to leg in this manner, a turn is also produced. Bend the leg. Straightening the leg. That's pushing the ground away, emptying the leg and pushing this round. And then I bend the leg. So I'm filling the leg, I'm drawing the ground up, and I'm turning this way. So notice, whilst I've got more than 50% in a foot, that leg isn't really working. That leg isn't working to move me, it's simply working to support me. So this leg is now supporting me because my weight is in it. This leg now starts pulling to start me moving. As soon as I get more than 50% here, this leg continues the movement by straightening. Moving in this manner enables me to stay down. The actions of my legs will tend to keep me down and draw me down. So this leg bending will draw me down, and then this leg straightening will also tend to send me down here. If my weight was in it and I straightened the leg, then it would tend to bring me up. But if my weight is already going into the other foot more than 50%, pressing with this leg will just drive me even more into this leg. Feeling this circle, the circle of the legs. Remember our posture. Sacrum and tail relaxed, tending to go backwards a little and out. And now feel this circle, like the big ball that you're sitting on. So imagine you're going to sit on a chair, and you wanted to make sure that you sat right on the edge, the front edge of the chair. So as you bent the legs and sent your bum back, your tail would really be extending and feeling so that as soon as you touch the chair, you could just make little adjustments to make sure you're actually on the chair. And then you could lean back and take the weight off your legs. So this is the feeling that like your tail is trying to find something that's going to support you. You're sitting on something, or you're about to sit on something. So not so much that it makes you lean forwards too much, but a feeling that your tail is probing back, trying to find something that will support it. And now let's try just the circle of the arms, so the ward-off circle. So if you're, working with a student, as I do, so you're trying to get them to feel the value of ward-off and the value of turning, the power. And I stand in front of them, they're standing like this. And I say to them, okay, grab my arms. And what they will do is do this. So they'll grasp firmly and they'll drop their elbows in order to get a grip. Because what they're thinking of is that that grip is going to potentially move me either forwards or back. They're thinking of this. They're thinking of a straight line, the line along which they can see. So they grab me and I say, okay, now just grab me higher up the arm, up from my elbows. So they now grab me here. And then I say, okay, now just raise your elbows. And they raise their elbows. And instantly I feel myself being sucked in to that space that they're creating by pulling their elbows out. And it's really strong. And suddenly they're not so interested in this anymore because they can't really do that because their arms are sort of locked at the elbow. And then I just say to them, okay, hold me firmly. Don't let me move relative to you and just turn. And they just turn and I'm just thrown because one of my arms is pulled and the other one is pushed around. So it's just yield and attack. That's Tai Chi really. Tai Chi is one side yields and the other side attacks. You can only really do that if you've got the arms in this round shape. So they're holding me. As soon as they bring up their elbows, I stop feeling their hands as such, which are gripping me. And I start to feel their whole structure because as soon as their elbows come up, their arms start to come from their spine rather than their shoulders. So bringing the elbows up creates a direct channel to the spine, down to the sacrum, across the hips, down the legs and into the ground. So this is what we want to feel when we get into ward-off. We're not just simply bringing our arms up with our elbows out a little bit. It's really strong. It's really pulling from the spine. And I've got a strong structure which I can turn and really disrupt the world that I'm in. So let's just try now just this exercise of getting the arm to come out from the spine, the shoulder blade coming out from the spine and extending down into the arm. Feel the two legs. So as I do this arm, the arm is borrowing, if you like, the support of this leg. So this leg is stable, something, because this is where my weight predominantly is. So that has come up into this. So this is sort of maintaining the structure, the shape, whereas the other leg is supplying the energy that flows through it. So we just want to feel this, feel the two legs, both with a presence in the arm, but quite different. One leg is supporting and one leg is energetic, energizing. Now, to get the legs involved, you really have to stay down in them, sink into them. Keep that pressure with your sinking. Feel this circle. The knees really out. These leg pits really hollow and open. The arch of each foot, the instep is really pulled up, really sinking into the outside edge. This is what knees out enables. Sacrum loose. Tail hanging relaxedly. The ball that I'm sitting on. So my legs are the front of that circle. And then this circle of the arms really swelling powerfully from the spine. Feel the armpits. As soon as I lose this space and let my elbows drop, I don't have that circular power anymore. And then feel the circle here, like you're holding a log, like a really sort of heavy, fat log. So there's a circularity to the arm here. So the heaviness of that log is pulling your shoulders down, pulling you down into your legs. And it's forcing you to sort of strengthen your spine and lean back slightly, because if that log was really heavy, it would tend to pull you forwards like this. So even though your tail is trying to extend back a little bit, you don't want that to lean you forwards too much. You don't want that to bring the heart down. So there needs to be some imaginative mechanism that enables the heart to stay buoyant. And it's just this heavy log that I'm holding, but also a sense that I'm trying to get underneath it, so that the power of my legs can directly channel into this lifting. So this is what I want to feel. If I'm holding this log, but it's not a holding, it's a lifting. It's active. The log is doing this, and so I'm having to do this to balance it. There's no movement, but the log is moving down, so I'm having to move it up. Keep it swelling from the spine. And then just drop the elbows just a little bit to get this feeling of the circle here. like you're holding a really big beach ball. And then feel these spaces here. So we have the armpits, so the space here like a circle. The hollowness here and here, just beneath the collarbones, which is the same really as the hollows here around the inguinal fold. So there's that point in the inguinal fold where if you put your finger on it, you can feel the artery, you can feel your pulse. So that's pretty much where 3 acupuncture meridians cross. So it's considered very important for the Chinese. So these hollows here, that point is like the center of those little circles. So we just want to feel all of this. And then just feel the 5th circle, so the spine really. So when I'm in this round shape, with roundness in my legs and roundness in my arms, my spine is part of the back of a large circle. So it's bowing like this gently, naturally. So I want the feeling that that circle contains the other person. So if I'm interacting with another person, say I'm pushing hands or doing the dalu or whatever, then there's a sense that my spine is digging underneath them and coming up behind them, and also a sense that something is coming out of my spine from the neck and down behind them. So my spine is sort of joining up, but opposite the other person's heart and behind them. Okay, now let's just try just the breathing. So here, the spine is moving from a bow into a straight line and then into an arch. And so I just want to feel that circle, the circle that my spine is part of, changing sides. So when I've got a straight spine, a vertical spine, then basically that circle is infinitely big. And as soon as I start bowing, it shrinks. And then it can shrink so much that it's only me that's inside the circle. And then I open it up. I go past the vertical and then I start arching back. So now I'm the front of the circle because the circle is like this. And again, it starts shrinking in size the more I arch back, and then coming back to the straight line and then shrinking. Just try and keep your mind visualizing that circle, that sphere, and just feel it changing size. So here it's quite small, but it's behind me, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then now it's in front of me, and now it starts shrinking again. Feel the air like water, so you can't move quickly. Always a sense that there's a medium that's trying to slow you down all the time. So you have to work quite hard even to do something simple like this. Keep the sacrum and the tail relaxed. So I don't bow up like this by tightening my tail. The tail stays relaxed. The whole spine just makes a bow shape. And then here the whole spine arches. Here I can really let my tail relax and extend. And then I don't want it to tense up here. Feel the air coming in and out of the lungs. So here I'm breathing in. I want to feel the air really thick, almost like a liquid. I'm having to suck quite hard to pull it in my nose. And then here I have to work quite hard to expel it, to push it out. And then just scan through the circle. So the legs, ward off in the legs, the bend in the legs, ward off in the arms, the bend in the arms, and this very gentle large circle, which my spine is the back of. So all of these circles stem from the back. We have a back, we have a front. The front is tending to want to explode outwards. And the back is trying to contain things. So I yield with my back and I attack with my front. My roundness from my back needs to be well developed enough to contain and control my front, my desire to rush out and make a mess of things, basically. Self-control. The back is soft, or we'd like it to be. So the steel bar that's swathed in layer upon layer of cotton, or like the image of the soft woman, contains a tiger that's ready to leap and pounce and kill. And now just turning. What I want to feel is my shoulders and my arms locked into the movement of the hips, of the waist. So everything that happens here translates into my arms and my hands. Feel the two arms. So one arm is pulling, one arm is pushing. So as I turn, this hand is pulling and this hand is pushing. And I want to get all of that coming from the turning of my waist. So when we do the form, we would like this turning to be the first thing, the most important thing. If I'm moving around, if my spine is moving backwards or forwards or left or right, and if my feet are moving, that's secondary to this. And it's really difficult. So people think they're turning the waist. When you really look at it, you realize your waist is turning slightly after everything else. It's not really coming from this. You're not really heaving from here. You have to imagine that you're really pulling something that's, it's difficult to move. And I'm not allowed to use external strength from my arms. It all has to be coming from this motor. So there's that lovely saying of David Bohm. He said, all of our problems stem from the fact that thinking has no proprioception. Thought is not proprioceptive. So proprioception is just like self-awareness. It's normally body awareness. So this is the thing about the waist. People think that they're aware of it, but actually you realize they're not. So when they're in the front foot, the waist is over here. And this is our way of trying to get a handle on what's going on up here. So the main issue really is just trying to control your own busyness in the head, your own anxiety. And we do that by just developing the proprioception of the body. And then in the hope that that will bring us into the mind. The more fine-tuned we become with the body, the more we can see the impediment that the mind is putting up to that. Chen Manqing's wonderful image of the headlights of the car. So just imagine that these two circles here, where you can feel your pulse. You've got two headlights here, two torch lights, and you want them just to stay forward the whole time. You're just moving from one leg to the other. You don't have to go completely, because what we're focusing on is just trying to feel this. Because people think that when they get into the front foot, if their shoulders are square, then this must be square as well, but it isn't. So I just want to bring my awareness down to the hips and the waist and just forget about my shoulders. So if you practice it and really just try and look at what's happening, that's the way to do it. So we don't want to practice and just be going through the motions with the mind thinking about something else. That is worse than useless. We just really want to look at it. So as I come into the front foot, what happens? This leg is pushing me forwards, but this leg is also having to push me back, because if I just push with this leg and come into the front foot, then this will happen. I'll end up with the waist over here. So I'm coming forwards, this leg is straightening, and now this leg has to start pushing back to stop this hip from coming too far forward, so that I can maintain this balance, which gives the two headlights both forwards. And then similar as I go back, and it's really difficult. If you look at it finely and are strict with yourself, then it isn't easy. And then let's try a bit with the other foot forwards. So as you come forwards, you have to make sure this hip comes forwards. The back leg needs to really straighten. And then as you go back, you need to make sure that this hip goes back. So this leg needs to really straighten. Using the empty leg, the straightening of the empty leg to really drive you into the full leg, to add a little. So it's almost like I'm more than 100% in this leg. Let's try just some stepping. So we want to make the stepping, this sort of single weighted stepping, as mechanical as possible, really, and get it really clear. So I come into this leg, I sink into it, this leg can then rise. And now I want to make sure my body stays still as I place the foot out. So I can pick that foot up without moving my body. And then I move the body. And I wait until the body is completely over this foot. And then I keep my body rigidly still whilst I bring this foot up. That rule, when you move the leg, the body has to be completely still. You're only allowed to move your spine side to side or backwards and forwards when both feet are on the ground. That's obvious. But here, so I sink down until my spine is down but still. And then this comes up. And then I step. I want the feeling that my body hasn't moved. Once the foot is on the ground, then I make a command decision. Okay, move the body. And I do that the way we were moving at the beginning. I bend this leg. This leg claims me. It pulls me across. Now, it's not enough just to get most of my weight in this foot. Otherwise, when I bring this foot up, I'll have to heave a little bit more in this direction. This leg bends to bring most of my weight in this foot, and then this leg has to really straighten to make sure I'm completely in this foot so that this one can release and come up. So it's just using the same mechanics that we did at the beginning on the moving from leg to leg, but now putting a step in. So I sink into the leg. That frees this leg. I step out to the side. I move the weight across by bending this leg. And then I straighten this leg to make sure I really am 100% in this leg. And then this leg can come up without me having to lunge or sway or tilt. Down. Step. Bend the leg. Straighten this leg. Just feel it, how the straightening of this leg doesn't bring you up. It actually drives you even more down into this leg because you've got most of the weight in this leg already. And then you can pluck up this foot. 1, sink. 2, step. 3, bend this leg. 4, straighten this leg. 5, pluck up the foot. 6, straighten up. And now just observe something. So you sink down, you lift the leg. Now, if I want to send this leg out in this direction, then the leg is quite heavy. So effectively, my center of gravity is shifting in this direction just a bit. And so if I want to maintain my balance in this foot, my body has to move this way a tiny bit. So as the leg goes out, I'm drifting in this direction a little bit just to keep my balance. And then I can move. We just want to be aware of all of these things. So we know that they're there. We've looked at it. So this goes out. So I have to slip here a little bit. Otherwise, I'll fall onto the inside of the foot, and I don't want to do that. And then this leg bends. This leg straightens to really push me into this foot, into the outside edge of the foot. And then this foot can come up. 1, 2. I need to stay in the outside edge of this foot. I need to almost lean in this direction a little. And then pull, push. And then as this foot comes up, my center of gravity is now shifting that way a little bit. There is almost a sense that I'm going to fall like this. We want the feeling that we'll fall out of our circle rather than into it. So that's the general rule that we were taught when we did the form. When the legs step, you try to keep your body as still as possible. Of course, when you're using if you were using the form in a fight or whatever, there'd be these flying steps all the time. Your weight would never be 100% in one foot. But we need to practice clearly, with real clarity, really feeling the body, developing our proprioception, our self-awareness. Okay, now there's another rule which John didn't really talk about, but I've heard it in other Tai Chi classes. The movement of your body from leg to leg should be separate from your turning. When you teach people, it becomes very clear that when they move the body from leg to leg, there's a general leaking of energy, if you like. Whereas when they simply turn about this spine that's relatively stationary, there's like a buildup of energy. It gets stronger. We want, at least in our minds, to be able to really split those two movements, separate them. So let's just try turning again. So I'm just turning. Think of your spine just being in the middle, like your spine is a big stick stuck in the ground, and you're just turning around it. If you let the spine drift, then you'll leak. It will disrupt the circularity if nothing else. We want to make sure that our circles, our production of circles is paramount. It's the most important thing. Once you've got it and it is really ingrained and it is the most important thing and the strongest thing in you, then your body can move around as well and it won't disrupt the circles. But the trouble is, if it's not strong inside as this circularity, then as soon as we move the body, we tend to leave the circles behind. Because, of course, in our daily life, we don't really use circles. Yeah, so the more into your circles you get, the more you'll tend to sort of shrink into them. Because the Dan Chen really is the center of your circles. And that's where you just naturally come to. So there's a sense that inside part of you is disappearing into the center of this motor, whilst another part of you is being flung out by the centrifugal force of your turning. That's it. You often have to do it quite quickly just to feel it. So remember the other week when we shook the head, we turned the head side to side, but quickly. And you really feel the flesh loosening on your skull and your jowls flying around and the slobber flying out your mouth. So it's a bit like that. My skeleton is turning and my flesh is almost getting left behind. So when you get the turning really good, it feels really different. Your arms just really feel like they're just so relaxed and they're just moving through the air. Like, when you move your arms gently in the water in the swimming pool, that sort of feeling. It's all coming from here. My arms are doing nothing. My arms are just stuck into my spine. And I'm just trying to get the flesh to really relax, almost like it's becoming swollen. It's relaxing away from the bone. It is difficult because you can't really let your mind wander. As soon as you let your mind wander, first of all, you lose your roundness in the arms from the shoulders. And then you're just turning here. And then just imagine you're holding this log. So it's really pushing you down into your legs. Legs are working really hard to get this turning going. Now let's just try roll back a couple of times. So you can practice this in the form. I mean, it makes the form really quite different. That is turning without moving the waist, without moving the spine. So let's just try it from roll back. So from ward off right. What we do in roll back, we turn the waist to this corner and we move into this foot. So the two things happening, I'm turning and I'm moving my weight. Now we want to try and split those two things up. What Chen Manqing would do, he would tend to turn first. So he would turn first and then move the weight into this foot. So let's just try that. So first of all, you have to present yourself. That's this, my ward off coming out from my spine. And then there is a real sense of sort of having to lock yourself in position and just turn. And it is a very mechanical turn. So it's all happened here, really. I've yielded and I've attacked. And then I just move into this foot. So two very separate, distinct movements, a turn and a movement of the weight. So I'm in the front foot. I just turn about my spine and just feel how that pulls and this side of the body rolls round to attack. First of all, I present the arm and then I turn, pulling with that left arm, attacking with that right elbow, and then I just sink into the back foot. Present your energy, turn, and then move. And just feel how those two actions are so different. So the turning is so much stronger than just this drift into the foot. Okay, now let's try it the other way. I'll just change around just for variety. So now the other way is some Tai Chi teachers do this. So when I attended a workshop with Bruce Francis, this is what he did. What he would tend to do is move into the back foot. So you're sort of with the person, you have your headlights here and they're coming in. So you lure them in, you go into your back foot and then you turn. So let's try that. So first of all, just presenting. And now just imagine someone's pushing you and you just stay stuck to them. You just go back, trying to keep this square. And then as soon as you hit that back foot, you yield and bring that person through. So here, really sucking the person in and then turning. Present the arm, then just move back into the back foot and turn. And you can see this is just, it's sharper, this one, in a way, because the scenario on this one is you're attacking someone. They're yielding, they're doing this roll back. So what that does, as they roll back like this arm yielding naturally twists your arm like this, exposing your elbow, and they then attack the elbow. What you would do to get out of that is to just turn back and drop your elbow like this. So that turn would drop your elbow, take you out of their lock, but it would also tend to make your body move in this direction, move backwards. So here the person is attacking with their right hand. I go back and then I turn. Their right arm is rolled. Their elbow starts coming up. I attack their elbow. They drop their elbow. I feel that and I just come in and press. So the press is just the follow-up to them yielding from your rollback. Go back and then I turn. As soon as I feel them yielding, I lunge in, I stick, I stay with them. So let's try again. So 1, go back and then turn. I turn this way to yield, I turn this way to attack, and I'm right on top of them. If you watch Chen Manqing when he's working, when he's doing pushing hands, or when someone's coming lunging in and he's yielding and throwing them away, you'll see that he yields, they start pulling back, and he doesn't just simply follow through with his hands, he steps up. He's doing this all the time. And so let's just try that. So just extending your step as you yield. So I present, I move back, I yield. As soon as you feel that other person starting to withdraw, step forwards with your foot and come in with your press. So you've extended your posture. And try and feel the power of the press. It's very interesting when you work with people, get them to do the applications on you. Their inclination at this point is just to put their hands on you and push. But if you can get them to just place this hand where their arm is touching you, it's so much stronger because it's really pointed. It's like an arrow coming through you, because they're attacking with a point. This is now a point rather than two hands. So let's try it again and just feel that. Ward off. Then I sink back and then I turn this way. And now as I'm beginning to come back, I want to this foot just to slip forwards a little bit. And then I just bring this hand up to wherever I'm imagining their arm is and just pressing in. Now let's just try that first one again, just a couple of times, then we'll finish. So when we turn first and then move back. Turn, and then I move back, and then I turn again to get the hand on get the press, and then I come forwards to press. So on this one, instead of lunging forwards with the front foot, you tend to step up with the back foot, which would mean that as you put your weight into the back foot, you're not actually doing this long movement because you've already yielded. You don't really need it. So let's just try. So I present, I turn. Okay, now it's all over now, really. they're now trying to pull backwards. So what's the point in doing this? So what you would do is turn, step up with this foot, bring the hands up, and then step forwards here. Chen Manqing does this all the time. He's always stepping with his back foot. So, so he's here and it's like this. And they're like little secret steps. And he's so confident of his yielding. He doesn't need to extend his step in order to create space. He actually really steps up to really crush the person and cramp them. So let's try it once more. So I just open up really and present my energy. Now I just turn. I want to feel the power of that turn. And then as I start turning back, I just step up with that back foot, like one of the adjustments in like play guitar or something, and then step forwards here and just forwards. One more, just for luck. One, and turn. And 1, 2. Bring it up to attention. So once you get this turning really as the prime motor, you don't need to worry so much about splitting up the turning and the moving. But it's a good exercise just to get this turning established, because we think we turn the waist, but we don't. The turning sort of happens as almost like an afterthought often.